one-horse speed is the subject of constant endeavour. The ambition of every thoroughbred breeder is to develop a faster and faster species, to rewrite the record books and produce new turf idols, horses to win fame and fortune at the world's greatest race meetings. In Australia, the names of a dozen or more aristocrats of the sport of kings are household words, but most notable is Farlap, winner of the Melbourne Cup and a turf immortal preserved for posterity in the state of Victoria's National Museum. In the United States, the mighty Man o' War is regarded as one of the greatest thoroughbreds the world has ever known. In France, Gladiateur has a memorial and a record book full of victories. In Britain, where racing dates back some 400 years, famous turf names include the Godolphin Barb and the Darley Arabian. It is claimed that every thoroughbred racing today can be traced in pedigree back to these or the Barley Turk. And so, thanks to such ancestors, racing is one of the world's most widely followed sports. And this prompts us to invite you to come for a look at what the experts call 4 of the finest race meetings in the world. It was in Britain 4 centuries ago that the fascinating story of the turf had its beginning, when King James ordered the world's first racetrack laid down at Newmarket. Since then, the sport of kings has developed in parallel with all the great landmarks and traditions of the nation. The statue of Queen Boadicea is another of the reminders of the part the horse has played in the country's long history. Wellington and many great leaders are so honoured, but always with their trusty steeds. Perhaps it's just plain homesickness that draws us to Australia House. In the heart of London, it's not the only reminder of Down Under. The travel department of our Australian bank had helped plan our itinerary, so it was a pleasant surprise indeed to meet an old friend from home, who now manages one of the bank's London offices. We arranged for mail to be forwarded here and already needed a restock of traveller's checks. Advice on comparative currency rates proved invaluable. The horse certainly has not lost his place in the British way of life, and on important occasions, such as the Queen's birthday, he plays his part in the pageantry with which he's become a tradition. The epitome of all regal occasions down the centuries. And so to Royal Ascot, the first of our finest 4, a meeting inaugurated by Queen Anne in 1711. A truly royal race meeting, for this is the Queen's own racecourse. The new Royal Enclosure stand cost £1.25 million. A rich backdrop for the ardent British racegoer, was also set the fashion pace for others to copy, namely, of course, the formal frock coat and topper. But to stand and watch the passing parade is to see a variety of styles, some dictated by profession, others by personal and frequently individual taste. A group of Australian racing personalities well dressed for the occasion includes members of the committee of the Victoria Racing Club. Miss Australia and her chaperone are on a world tour which will coincide with some of our itinerary. Traditionally, the Queen and members of the royal family visit the saddling paddock. Her Majesty on this occasion is accompanied by the Duke of Norfolk. In 1902, King Edward VII showed great interest in the improvement of the Ascot course. And perhaps since that time, no monarch has displayed more enthusiasm for racing than Queen Elizabeth. With starting time drawing near for the Royal Hunt Cup, the air of excitement is inescapable. Let's hear the English commentator's description.
Plenty of choice among the 31 runners. Red Slipper and Weeper's Boy up front on the stand side, with Gallot and Emerald Cross running strongly on the other. It's Gellert and Emerald Cross with Zaliukas challenging, and Zaliukas just pips Gellert at the post in a photo finish.
Well, it may be the height of the English summer, but for the first time this century, the weather dampens everything at Ascot, except perhaps the spirit that makes it one of the finest four. Across the Channel, Paris, the city on the Seine. The Eiffel Tower makes an ideal vantage point to view what is regarded by many as the most beautiful metropolis in the world. None who see her ever forget her. The legend of the Maid of Orleans, clad in armor and mounted upon a proud charger. Another reminder of the horse's place in French history. But the traffic on the Champs-Élysées, though nonetheless frightening, is a far cry from the turbulent days of Joan of Arc. Montmartre. No place quite like it anywhere else in the world. Notre Dame, the most important cathedral of Paris, construction of which began in 1163. The brush of this street-side artist records an appropriate subject: sidewalk cafes, a Parisian way of life. A national lottery on racing advertises the running of the Grand Prix de Paris at the famed Longchamp racecourse. During an average year, about 30 meetings are held at Longchamp, so the entrance to the course makes an ideal stand for the enterprising salesman. Selling tips, for example, is quite legal, but you have to be a good salesman. In beautiful surroundings alongside the Seine, Longchamp is a magnet to international racing identities, among them the Aga Khan. Prominent French owner Madame Volterra has 2 entries in the Grand Prix. Getting the good oil, French style. Director General of the Association Promoting French Horse Breeding, Monsieur Romanet. The single-sheet race book is unusual, but if you know the language, it's most informative. The newly constructed paddock enclosure or display ring affords 4,000 spectators an opportunity to view their Grand Prix fancy. Ridden by Australian jockey Pat Glennon, number 2 is Sunny Prince. Famous French rider Yves Saint-Martin is on trademark. Another Australian, Bill Pyers, aboard Fort Cologne. English champion Lester Piggott and number 13, the Drake. With starting time close, there's a general move to the stands. A good place to admire Paris fashions. That's a nice hat. And that's a nice hat. Oh, well, apparently even in Paris, it's hard to be different. French race commentator Louis Coussinet didn't help us very much at all.
Qui a réuni 14 partants. Dans quelques instants, le départ sera donné. Traînements sont devant Buxer, Westminster, Indiana, Ménival, Novaro, Fort Coulonge, suivi de Francilius, Zodrec. Très raide, ferme toujours la marche. Au Petit Bois, Red Level est au commandement.
Well-known Victorian race caller Bert Bryant is also having a look at racing around the world.
Devant Trademark, Sonny Prince, Indiana qui se rapproche et Waldemeister suivi de Zodrec à hauteur du pavillon. Wet Level et Indiana sont à la lutte devant Zodrec, suivi de Sonny Prince au commandement, tandis que à 200 mètres de l'arrivée, Wet Level a toujours l'avantage devant Indiana et Zodrec.
Just in case your French is not the best, the winner is white label by a length. For the excited owners, Madame et Monsieur Guy de Rothschild, it's their biggest turf victory. But now it's time to say au revoir to Paris and continue our journey to the third of the finest four.